Today for Devotions with Daniella, we are reading Generation Hope, How Inclusive Economics Can Help Us All Thrive. This chapter is called Who's Really in Control? Many people believe we are in the Matrix. Cults love the movie The Matrix, by the way. Drawing a parallel with our world, how much of the movie franchise's systemized control of reality could be true? Is it in their benefit? They being the algorithm, the politicians, the super rich, for us to think in fear and scarcity? Is democracy itself the biggest lie of all? If so, then those of us who aren't involved in selecting the candidates are, in fact, in the matrix. With the advent of social media, we're certainly living in a post-truth world, one where we rarely know what the truth really is. Our societies are polarized on almost every topic. If there are studies that show something, there are studies that disprove that something too, especially given special interest funded studies to fabricate findings that meet their needs. An example of this is when Volkswagen famously commissioned a study to hide their diesel emission levels. Children of God pedo cult also commissioned religious scholar Gordon Melton to call them not a cult. Now that Volkswagen has been caught cheating and fined heavily, it is clear what was right and what was wrong, or so we think. Conspiracy theorists say that the regulation to cut diesel emissions was motivated by geopolitics, in particular reducing the demand for diesel, which is extremely cheap to produce in Arab nations. But in most cases, the issues aren't so black and white. Yet we still become married to our individual viewpoint, regardless of whether it is right or wrong, and cling on to it for dear life. Often, at least one, if not both sides of the sides clinging to their opposite view has bought into some level of propaganda. It's no secret that disinformation and fake news have dominated our media over the last decade. On Twitter, now X, fake news stories are 70% more likely to be retweeted than true stories, which take about 6 times as long to reach 1,500 people as it does for false stories to achieve the same reach. And it isn't just sharing. Social media users are more likely to believe fake news as well. Social networks caused free speech platforms a decade ago, or ceased to be free speech platforms a decade ago, when they moved from reverse chronological display, newest post at the top, to one showing content driven by proprietary algorithms. Twitter, Facebook, and other social media platforms take what people say online and sort it via artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms, then selectively show content to you based on what you have clicked on in the past and what people in your network are engaging with. In our desire to help others in our network, we spread misinformation, and in most cases, it is false information that is not meant to hurt anyone. When you receive a forwarded message and send it on without knowing that a piece of information is untrue, you are not spreading false information deliberately. On the other hand, disinformation is false information deliberately spread to deceive people. There are armies of political cyber hackers and their minions who have been hired to use bots to fabricate and spread content that is completely false with an aim to destabilize foreign governments or influence elections. Disinformation is big business for everyone involved, both the perpetrators and the social networks, as we saw with Cambridge Analytica in the previous chapter. And it's not just cyber hackers. Governments across the spectrum are involved too, as was exposed by the Snowden revelations. Expect the commercialization of social media manipulation to continue to grow by both state and private actors. There are massive dangers to both individuals and society associated with this technology. The algorithms are optimized to serve up more and more of what you and your network click on, be that meditation, outdoor adventures, soccer club Real Madrid, or Baby Shark. It's naive to think that it's better for you if they show you content you like, rather than you having to sift through all the content yourself. When you lose control of choosing what you read, you have to trust those choosing for you. This is why some traditional media agencies work so hard to maintain trust and, in some cases, neutrality. Think Associated Press, Reuters, the BBC in the UK, and the Wall Street Journal in the US. But A large share of experts say that among the leading concerns about today's technology platforms are the ways in which they are exploited by bad actors who spread disinformation, as well as the privacy issues arising out of the business model behind those systems. Bad actors or not, politicians have embraced technological amplification. Many have learned to write the kind of provocative posts that get amplified by the algorithm. By writing explosive things about their perceived enemies, they generate attention, and attention helps them to raise funds. The new dialing for dollars, Lessig warned about. Unfortunately, there's no algorithmic reward for compromise. A group of researchers from Brazil's Federal University of Minas Gerais, that's where I grew up, and the Qatar Computing Research Institute analyzed 70,000 articles from 4 major news organizations, BBC News, Daily Mail, Reuters, and the New York Times, to measure the correlation between headline sentiment and popularity. Although results varied from publication to publication, the general finding was that the more extreme the emotion in a headline, the more likely it is to be clicked on. This runs both ways. The group said a headline has more chance to be successful if the sentiment expressed in its text is extreme, toward the positive or negative side. Results suggest that neutral headlines are usually less attractive. You're more likely to click on a story that says, "This is the best," or "This is the worst," than "This is quite okay." These headlines are known as clickbait. If you momentarily lapse and click on a sensational social post once because your curiosity got the better of you, the algorithm learns a little bit from that interaction and serves up similar stories in the future. If you or your network also engage with this subsequent content, then the algorithm serves up more and more of the same content. This is also the way advertising is shown to you, as depicted in the movie Social Dilemma. Those who are susceptible to what the technology serves up to them end up trapped on social media. This cycle is why social networks like Facebook amplify false information and polarizing content. It's what the algorithms have been designed to do. The global social problems posed by Meta's algorithm in particular have led tens of millions of its 2.9 business users around the world into a black hole of misinformation, a quagmire of lies, and a quicksand of conspiracy theories. The sad reality is that social media has changed our values. It has made us value things that are more inane, vacuous, or even damaging. In 2018, computer science philosopher Jaron Lanier delivered a sobering prognosis on the spiraling corruption of our social networks. I can't call them social networks anymore. I call them behavior modification empires. This is perhaps the biggest danger facing democracy today. Louisa Heinrich, human-centered technology leader and advocate, articulates this warning well when she says, "There's a gap between the rate at which technology develops and the rate at which society develops. We need to take care not to fall into that gap." In the past, politicians and their backers controlled information quite easily, but the internet has made the flow of information more and more difficult to control, though of course some countries do it anyway, at any cost. The new strategy is to flood us with lots and lots of information, most of it bogus or fake, simply to stay in front of their potential donors and voters. Disinformation, misinformation, and fake news are such serious issues that there is concern over how users will sort through fact and fiction in the coming decade, all while the term fake news is being used to discredit the truth. Make no mistake, our ignorance is being weaponized against us, and the war of information has and continues to influence democracy by swaying public opinion before it's time to vote. You can get copies of Generation Hope, How Inclusive Economics Can Help Us All Thrive, attached here.